here at Football Daft, we are very, very proud of our sponsors, G4 Claims, and to tell us all about it, none other than Nicole. What's happening, pal?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
All good.
Not bad. All good. Yes.
So,
Living the
G4
dream.
Claims,
Let us know.
what
Aye,
we
tell
can
us.
do for you guys. So, if you're involved in an accident that's not your fault, why would you claim against your own policy? Why phone your own insurance? Why jeopardise your no claims bonus that you've been gathering for X amount of years, whether it's protected or not? Your insurance policy is disturbed during the process of that claim. So until that claim is fully settled, which can take 6 to 9 months, by the way, that means that your policy is affected. So if your renewal is going to come up in between that time, you're going to be punished for that. So if you're involved in any sort of accident, phone G4 Claims first. We will make sure that if the accident is your fault and we can't help you, we'll guide you in the best possible way. If the accident's not your fault, we can provide you with a like-for-like replacement vehicle whilst your car's off the road. If your car is written off, we'll get a settlement for your car that you're happy with by an independent engineer and make sure that you're not left in any negative equity and things like that, and we'll claim it all back from the at-fault insurance. We'll get your car repaired if it's repairable at an approved body shop, either of your choice or one of ours, because we've got loads and loads of contacts and manufacturer approved body shops ready and waiting to take your job. And if you're injured in the accident, we can deal with your personal injury compensation. We do not take a percentage. All the competitors, all the big names, make sure if you're looking at any of these guys, they're taking 20-25% for your compensation. Always check that, because we don't take a percentage from your compensation, so it means that you get your full claim. So if you phone G4 Claims first, we'll be happy to help you, advise you, and of course look after you. It's G4 Claims 01698 767 172. We're on all social media platforms. Please go on and visit us. G4 Claims, not at fault claims, made easy.
Easy.
Let's welcome a man of many, many, many talents. He is a star of radio, a star of Outlander, and star of Weemsby 902-101. He's a massive Hibee. It's Grant Stott. How are we doing, Grant?
I am very well, boys. I'm honoured, thrilled to be asked to be on this iconic bit of audio with you.
Yes,
Thank you
we're
very
getting
much.
there, and we want to
Yes.
point out how good you actually sound. Listen to that. Say a sentence, Grant. Just say something.
Available for voiceover.
I mean, listen to that.
Do you know what? We were saying kind of fair, man. I mean, it's quite embarrassing that the guest has got better audio and better sound quality than the actual guys hosting the podcast. And I'm quite ashamed of myself, yours, boys.
I just have a neck.
I don't give a fuck.
And that was Mr. Chris Toll sitting on the fence as usual.
I merely have it because it's all part of my business. It's what I do. I record
Yes.
audio at home, and therefore need to have wonderful sounding microphones and a mixing desk, which is what I say to my wife as well when the packages arrive.
So, Grant, so what are you actually doing now in terms of like what are you having to do for lockdown? I know you've got your own wee studio built up, but what is like your daily routine now?
Well, I'm on a holiday now. I've had 2 weeks off, which is actually the longest break I've had since last February. February, went to Tenerife just before lockdown, had a wee bit of a breather. Lockdown kicked in, and I've worked every week since. So, I mean, I've been fortunate from that point of view, but I've not had, the experience of being stuck at home, not able to go out. I've had things to do and places to go with the work. I've got the afternoon show on a Wednesday and Thursday on Radio Scotland. So I do that from the Edinburgh studio here. Originally, I did it from home for about 8 weeks and then moved back in the studio when the BBC got all COVID friendly, if you like. And I do my Friday night vinyl show from Glasgow. So I get to drive to Glasgow to do the show from there, because that's the only studio that I've got 2 turntables in it. So I have to go to Glasgow to do that through there.
So what you're telling me is you've spent about $4,000 on microphones when you could have bought a pair of turntables.
Shut up.
You're just grassing him up there, Tom. John, you'll need to edit that. John, in case his missus listens to Football Daft, you'll need to edit that.
I mean, I've been working from home. I did a series of podcasts for Visit Scotland over the summer last year, and bits and bobs like that. But you need to. That's what's happening. Everyone's adjusted that way. You know, everyone on this conversation right now has all of a sudden had to be able to get audio and tech savvy at the flick of a switch. So it's that.
You thought we would have got a bit audio and tech savvy until we heard you today, Grant. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of. I'm looking at producer John and he's shaking his head now and all looking at us, you know what I mean? But I bought a beer machine.
Aye. I've had a coffee machine. I bought a coffee machine.
I've got a new Hoover.
You talk into them though. Can you talk into them?
Sometimes after a few of the beers at the beer machine, I'm telling you.
Give me another one. Give me another one.
Oh, but Grant, obviously, you're a big fan of the old cabbage and ribs, am I right?
Yes.
Aye.
And it was one of those family traditions. There was no really an option. My granddad was born literally across the bridge, you know, Easter Road, and he went to school, which is now part of the Easter Road grounds. That was his school. So when my dad was born, although my dad was born in Dalry, in Gorgie.
Right.
He was brought up there, but his granddad, my granddad, his dad, took him Easter Road, so he became a Hibs fan. But that was back in the days, I'm sure. Your dads will all sort of say the same thing. It was back in the day where home and away, you went to one ground, you went to the other ground, they went to one ground, they went to the other ground, and that's what my dad did. He went to Hibs and Hearts home every week instead of travelling away. But there was no other option in my house. It was only ever going to be Hibs, and I was a late developer. I didn't start actually going to matches until about 30 years ago, about 1990, and it kind of became so I could spend a bit of time with my dad.
Aye.
It was one of those because I moved out of the house. I was working, and it just became one of these. My brother was way down in London at this point, and my dad would say, "Well, I'm just going to," and he was going to the game on his own. So I went, "Well, I'll go with you." And he was like,
Aye.
Go to football. So, and that's how it started. And I very quickly got right into it, and then. So 30 years on, we're kind of go now, but I've got him. He's all set up and watching at home. But it's all through my dad. It's all about, and it was an excuse to go out with him and spend a bit of time with him, and that's for me has been the lovely thing, and being able to share that with him. I'm so glad I did that. I mean, obviously I love the football as well, but that's the key.
Aye, definitely. I get that. The memories for your dad. That's what my wee boy's starting to. Aye, it is. My wee boy's starting to take an interest in it now. He's only 5, but still sitting on the couch match day with my wee boy and stuff. And I remember doing that with my dad. So you remember the kind of things.
I feel as if the only connection that I've really got with my dad is football. It's a graft to talk about anything else. I mean, folk can die, whatever. It's just a matter of, did you see what do you think about the Footman Saturday? There's nothing else to talk about with my dad. Nothing.
I can almost time my calls because my dad, whatever, if Hibs are playing midweek or on a Saturday or whatever, you can wait. The final whistle's gone. Okay, then, hang on. That's the phone. Because he watches it, and because we're not there together, let's have a wee chat about what went on in the game today. It is that.
It's like my father. We do another podcast called Rangers Daft, where we just talk about Rangers, and I was like, "Troops, I need to take this phone call," and it was my dad. And you could hear him just going, "Who's the players involved in the COVID? Who are they? Do you know?
Who's at the party the weekend?" I love it because I spent a bit of time working at Hibs on match days, and so I was, I used to host the corporate lounges. So my fee was effectively gonna carry my dad over the turnstile. So I would bring my dad in, and he would then got to sit with Pat Stanton and Laurie Riley and Joe Baker, who was his favourite player of all time. And my dad was just like a wee laddie. He was just like a wee laddie again.
You know what? That's a huge thing as well. That's a huge thing for you being able to give him that.
Absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. Because that's a no-brainer for me. All I got to do is stand up, talk, push into a microphone.
It's kind of like Grado will tell you. Like my boy's a huge wrestling fan, so the fact that I'm involved in the wrestling as well. Like whenever any of the companies that I work for bring in a big name for overseas. I would say, like, I would speak to the promoter and say, listen, is it all right if I bring the boy in just to meet the wrestler and stuff like that? And some of the guys that he's managed to meet, and he's going to carry that memory on for the rest of his life as well. So the fact that you're able to give your dad that opportunity to meet his heroes It's good, isn't it? It's a great feeling.
It's a difficult feeling to try and describe, but it's, you know, my dad got so friendly with Laurie Riley, who's one of the greatest Hibs players ever. Laurie Riley would say, "All right, Feather." He'd call my dad Feather. Although Laurie Riley was about 10 years older than my dad. He would call him Feather. And that to me, and my dad's like going, "Laurie Riley just called me."
Aye.
Brilliant.
Aye, it's like, but I remember I get invited into the Blue Room at Ibrox for a game, and I thought, right, I'm going to take my dad. I took my bud the last time. I thought my dad would love this, and I took him. We got all suited and booted. We're in the Blue Room. The chairman's there. You know, his hero John Gregg's there. Everybody, and he just pulled me aside and went, "Do not introduce me to anybody in here." He was that fear. I was like, "Dad, you need to say hello to somebody." But what he didn't tell me is 2 minutes before that we were playing Killie that night, and he went up to the Killie board of directors and the chairman. He didn't know they were the Killie, and he was going, "I think we'll take goals off Kilmarnock tonight with these Hink boys." We're Kilmarnock, and he went. His father just collapsed. And he just hid in a wee corner and went, "Do not. This is bad." He was affronted.
Dads can say beautiful things at entirely wrong times.
Aye.
That's what it's all
But
about.
you do. I mean, you'll be the same grade. Like, I get like that, but when I meet the players as well, like I still get total. So I was saying the last time I was there, when I was talking to Walter Smith, there was a wee buffet on, and everybody. I'm with my brother-in-law, and we're getting just the food. It's like Indian food, so we'll get a bit of chicken tikka and a bit of sauce, and there's poppadoms, there's naan breads, but you're standing with the plate. I picked the poppadoms. But my brother-in-law's talking to Walter Smith. He's really relaxed and all that, and I'm like, aye. All I'm thinking is 9-0 legend looking back, blah blah blah. But my poppadom's breaking in my horn, and all the crumbs are falling on the carpet. And I'm standing there and I'm trying to like kick the crumbs away while I'm talking to Walter Smith, and I'm like shaking like a shiting dog. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, that's exactly similar. I remember Walter Smith came it was at the end of the game, and he was coming through, and he was kind of leaving the stadium, and he kind of spotted me, and I went, "Hiya." And all that way, I need to say something. I went, "How's Ethel?" Kenny's wife. And everybody went silent, and he just kind of looked at me and went, "She's fine." What?
When McLeish was the manager at Hibs, he was an old pal again of Andy Gray's, right? And Andy and I were out for a few bevies in town one night, and we went to this pub in Newington down the road, and who's through the back having a meal but Alec McLeish and his wife. And I'm going, "Who's the Hibs manager through there?" And Andy's going, "I ken him." I'm like, "Ah, do you fuck?" He goes, "Oh, I ken him. Anyway, next thing, the two of them are at the bar. I get into the company, we're chatting away. "Hello, Mr. McLeish, how you doing?" "Fine, too." And, fast forward 2 hours, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're at McLeish's house, which is just down the road. Emptying. He says, "I'll get you a glass of champagne." It's like champagne, about 4 or 5 bottles or whatever it was. I've got the guitar out trying to sing, I think it was "Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash, don't ask. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was just one of these most random, you could never have planned this kind of night, and you just like you said, you feel you got to say something.
Aye,
when you see the manager of your team or whatever, and end up drinking all his bevy in his kitchen. So it was a random and a surreal night with Mr. McLeish, and then he was pals with Dougray Scott, and then Hibs were playing Athens, and we flew out to Greece, and then I was in the same hotel as Alec McLeish, and he says, "Dougray, could you look after Dougray Scott tonight?" Like, "Aye, okay." And so we ended up, Dougray and I going out wandering about the streets of Athens, and I had dinner with him, a romantic meal for two.
That is unbelievable.
We've been buddies ever since. It's football is brilliant for that.
Brilliant.
Meet all these people coming together.
That is amazing. Well, Grant, I'm going to need to bring this up.
I know what you're going to bring up, Bob.
I know.
You have to. I might go for a pee.
Aye, it was possibly the worst day of my life. But describe the feeling of beating us in the Scottish Cup final.
Brilliant.
Oh my God. I know we still got Jordan. Right, anyway.
There is so much I could tell you about the 21st of May 2016. And there's so
The
much
floor
about
is
that
yours,
whole-
Grant. The floor is yours.
The whole row. But the most remarkable thing about that day was on the lead up to it, a few months before, I had been kindly invited onto the launch, a sort of press junket, if you like, of the Royal Caribbean's new ship, right, which is this massive floating shopping centre. It's massive, right? And it was down at Southampton. The guy gets in touch with me and says, "Would you like to come and be our guest? We're just taking a select people from the media out for a wee sort of, because we'd had a couple of cruises before, me and the family." And says, "Yeah, that sounds amazing, man." He says, "The weekend, Friday the 20th of May, to Sunday the 22nd. Now, bear in mind, we hadn't even had the semi-final at this point. And I was like, "Oh, that's amazing, that's great." I said to Claire, it's her birthday on May the 21st.
Right.
So I thought, this is perfect timing. I says, "Claire, I'm going to take you away." I says, "But I need to tell you what it is, because you'll need to get time off, because we're going to have to fly down to Southampton on the Friday morning. We're going to go on the ship. We're going to sail out, have a couple of days on board, and then come back to Sunday. Your birthday weekend this year is sorted." "Oh, that's lovely," she says. "That's lovely. I look forward to that." So, fast forward to the semi-final, Dundee United. We beat Dundee United in the semi-final. I'm back at home here, watching the highlights, a couple of glasses of wine, and then, so Claire's sitting with me watching it, and then so that finishes the highlights, and we've obviously got through on penalties, and sports scene's there, and so Hibs will play either Rangers or Celtic in the final of the Scottish Cup on the 21st of May. And Claire's sitting there watching, and she went, "That's my birthday." I'm like, yeah. And she goes, Are we not going away for my birthday on a lovely big cruise ship?" And I went, "We were." And it was one of those moments where just kind of dawned on us, went, "Are you binning on a 6-star beautiful cruise ship with me on my birthday to go and watch the Hibs?" Like, hi. So thankfully, Claire and I, we've been together many, many years, and she's a very understanding, wonderful woman. And so she went, "That's fine, that's fine." So anyway, 21st of May, her birthday. I'm up and away at 9 o'clock, away at the match from my dad. We all know what happens. We win. We come back. We're in town. I actually took my dad, again, talking, Chris, about things that you get your dad to do. I took my dad back to Easter Road with Supreme and with all the directors, and we were there when the cup was brought back in. Alan Stubbs, again, Dad in his absolute element. So
Amazing.
few drinks. 10 o'clock, I'm like, I better get back to the house. It's Claire's birthday today. I've been out all day. So we get back to the house, and Claire's sitting through the back having a wee glass of Prosecco herself, and I'm saying, "Happy birthday, darling. You'll be happy because Hibs have won the Scottish Cup." I'm like, "Yes. Can we go watch the highlights? Because it's already." And she did. And
Tell me this one. How long did it take you to pick the hand and turf out your shoes?
I didn't run on. But I tell you what I will remember about that moment. And I can relive every point of that game. But at the point where it was 2-2, 90 minutes, we get the corner, Henderson delivers, and David Gray scores, right? We go ballistic. I go absolutely mental, as everybody's done. And then there was that moment where everyone kind of went, "What the fuck do we do now? What? This has never happened before. We don't know what to do. We didn't quite know how to take this in." It's like, we might have done this. We might have actually done this. And I looked round, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier on about my dad. I just looked round to my right-hand side, and there's my dad sitting with his head in his hands, just like that, just taking a moment, right? And I mean, because his dad, my granddad, lived and died, never saw Hibs win the Scottish Cup.
Aye.
And my dad was at a point, he was 70-year-old, and he thought, 76 he was. He says, "I'm never going to see Hibs win the Scottish Cup." And he got to that point in his life. And anyway, so here it was happening. And he just obviously took a wee moment, and I quickly got my phone out, and I've just got a picture of him sitting there with his head in his hands. And I think that kind of sums up what that is.
That's put a lump in my throat.
Aye.
And it still does. It still
Fucking
does to
hell,
me.
that's
It
brilliant.
does. And when the final whistle finally went, I've got a picture of this as well. Everyone's obviously celebrating, and my dad is hugging another gentleman of a similar vintage, let's just say. Didn't know who he was, didn't know, but they had that one thing in common, that they'd got to their 70s and they'd finally seen this day.
Aye.
And it was absolutely mad. And you know what? We could win the Scottish Cup again, you know. Who knows what crazy things can happen. But it will never ever be as
Never beat that.
That's
No,
brilliant.
you're right.
And do you know what? It's funny you say that because about people after that goal in the 90th minute. I actually found myself going down a YouTube wormhole a couple of weeks ago, and I found a video of like the Hibs fan, and he had took a video of the corner and they score and the place erupts, and you can hear folk going. I mean, it's the 90. What was it? The 91st, the 90th minute. I don't know.
Aye.
And you can hear the fans going, we might win this. We might win this. And I'm going, of course he's going to fucking win this now. But just
Aye.
everybody was just like, what?
But do you know what? Even though what you're saying there, Grado, even though it was the 92nd minute and they had scored,
You still don't.
they still didn't think they were
Nah.
going to win it because it had happened so
It
often.
happened so many
Aye.
times, and there was a foul about a minute or so afterwards that we all thought was a Rangers foul. And I think even still to this day, we don't know how we got it, but anyway, Hibs got the foul because we thought, oh fuck, they've got a foul like on the
Aye.
halfway line.
Aye.
Oh, here it goes. Oh, we're going to throw it away again. They've got it.
Aye.
And then all of a sudden the referee points the other way and it was like, it's our fault.
Yes.
It's like, oh,
Aye.
we won again. You know, it was almost like we'd won it again. And it's a, and you know, Grady, you were talking about looking, you know, going down a YouTube tunnel, which you know a lot of us do. You know, it was just this week that was when you know sort of 5 years since we beat Hearts in the replay. You know, so we've got all these different events that led up to us winning that Scottish Cup, and you know, you can go and watch these clips on YouTube. I will still cry. I will still bubble and I'll well up when I see a different perspective or I see somebody else's footage of that moment or these goals. It just gets me every single time.
Yeah, what gets me fit is see when the fans start singing "Sunshine on Leith" after it. I don't care what football team you
It's
support.
great, isn't it?
It's tremendous.
See when that comes out, see when that comes out and you're standing there at the, because we only go for it, you know, in an important cup game now, or if we win a derby or anything like that. I don't think I've ever got through that song without my voice cracking and tears welling up because it's so powerful. See when you're right in the middle of it all, and even now I'm tingling just thinking about it. And it's one of these things that probably only football can bring and give you.
Oh, totally, mate.
An environment like this, when you're beside so many like-minded people, you might have nothing in common with any of them, but this one thing brings you all together. Doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter what you do for a living, doesn't matter, you know, where you live, what you've done. This one thing brings you together, and that song, Sunshine on Leith, for us, unites us all. And when that plays out, it's
also, it means that something good's happened as well. And
that's what
there's that. It's amazing.
It's magic in it. Remember going to the Fab? It was fucking brilliant, wasn't it?
Aye, remember being able to go to the football? Brilliant.
That's what I was talking about, because I don't know if you know Mark Donaldson, but he used to do the sports there, a big Hearts fan. And one of my memories on Facebook came up the other night from that game at Easter Road when we beat Hearts in the replay. And Donkey was there. And he used to be the sports editor at Radio 4th, and he now works for... Christ, that's terrible. Over in America, Sports Channel. ESPN. Thank you, sir. He works for ESPN. He'll give me a row for that. And so the photo comes up. It's basically, it was taken of me and him just after the game, and I'm like that. It's like, but that moment was brilliant. Obviously, I was dead happy because we'd just beaten Hearts. But little did we know at that point what was still to come. What was still to happen. The semi-final with Conrad Logan and goals against Dundee United.
That's right.
I mean, what?
Aye.
You know, it's like it's a Hollywood script. Hibs winning the cup that year is, and I know it's possibly not relevant to you guys. You might not want to watch it, but if you want to watch a good sports documentary, the Hibs DVD, the documentary that Jim Matthews for Sky Sports made, he made a documentary about the whole story about how Hibs won that cup, and it takes you through every game step by step and interviews with the players and everything like that.
I didn't know about that.
Is that the bald geezer that does Sky News?
Yeah.
He's like the main reporter,
Jim
isn't he?
Matthews, yeah.
Top dog, isn't he?
He's a big Hibs fan, and so they put him in charge of creating this documentary. And I've seen loads of sports documentaries, and that's right up there. That's up there with the.
Grant, I'd maybe watch it, but then just maybe the last. I'd maybe, do you know what I mean? I'd maybe,
Oh no, you need to see it through.
no. I think I'd maybe just cut it off then. I'd watch up to the semi final.
I might just fast forward to the end.
Yeah, here, Grant, because it's funny. I love any sort of football documentary. I love the Hearts documentary. But what do you think about Hearts now? What's your feelings? They're in the Championship. Did you watch the documentary?
I did watch the documentary, to be honest, but I'd also watched the Spurs one on Man City.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Amazon.
Sunderland one as well, man. They're all good.
And they were brilliant, but so Hearts were on a bit of a hiding to nothing with their documentary because they kind of compete obviously with Amazon and things like that. And it was like it was a gentle watch. Obviously, the Hibs fans wanted to watch it with a bit of that, because it was that year of all years, and it didn't really, I think, give any much more than we'd already known. I think we'd sort of seen and followed the developments ourselves. So yes, the Hearts documentary, a bit of a damp squib. I'm not saying that as from a Hibs point of view, but it was just kind of.
You wanted to see them rolling about the flare with one another, didn't you?
Tears, we wanted blood snotters, we wanted the whole lot.
Did any of you read the paper yesterday? Apparently, Romanov is living in a nuclear submarine in Russia. Now he's like destitute. He's got nothing. All he's got is a submarine.
Is that
and
right?
he's living in a submarine. Do you know what? It's just so Romanov, isn't it?
That's when you want to see a Hearts documentary when he was in charge.
Yes.
That would have been funny because we've had had a few guests on that said was it David Templeton and stuff we had on
the
saying
Romanov stories are superb.
Romanov would turn up and get his translator to scoring goals and start smashing balls into him and all that, hitting shots left, right and centre.
Aye, baby, whose boots was it he stole? Was it?
Aye, whose boots was it?
He used to steal
Was
some.
it no Templeton's?
Was it no his boots? I'm sure it was.
I think
Maybe
it was
Was it Templeton's boots?
I used to love when I was doing auctions or things like that, and if I had a signed Hearts strip at that time, I'd go, right, okay, who's going to give me 250 quid for the signed Hearts top? Listen, give me another 500 quid and you can pick the team. I just didn't know what was going to come, and it was interesting times.
Aye, definitely. What do you make of Jack Ross so far then, Grant?
I know it's been an up and down season. I mean, I think massive disappointment, in particular, the two semi-finals at Hampden.
Yes.
There was a lot of attention on Jack Ross after those two games. Obviously, the Hearts one, we could have won it, especially we had the penalty and everything like that. But with the St Johnstone one, we just weren't even at the races. And I think that was what was most disappointing. That was probably what hurt the most out of the two semis. It was probably a bigger, more painful loss when we got beat at St Johnstone. So there was a lot of scrutiny on Jack Ross then, but I like what he's doing. I like what he has done, and it's like everybody else in football. You want results instantly. You want changed. You want things change right now. You want want to start winning every single game. You want to beat everyone that's below you. You want to win every cup match. And obviously, as we know, it's not happening. But you can see even in the last transfer window with Chris Cadden coming in and Jackson Irvine.
Yeah. Aye.
Interesting signings, and you know what, they've
Definitely
already begun to bed in, and I'm a great believer in let's give him a bit of time. It's only a year and a half since he came on board, so there's time yet.
And there's you've got. I mean, I think the last transfer window, Kevin. There was rumours Kevin Nisbet put in a transfer request and stuff. I mean, that's not easy to deal with. Do you know what I mean? Because he's one of your main men. Him and Dodge are brilliant together. Do you know what I mean? They're really dangerous partnership.
Kevin Nisbet, I think, was one of the. It was interesting because there was a lot of talk about him in Shankland. In the first division when he was down there, and I had a good pal of mine who was involved in Dundee United, and he was saying Kevin Nisbet is the better player because Shankland will score goals. Obviously, that's important, that's brilliant, but Kevin Nisbet will give you more at other aspects. And unless you're a team that can afford to have a luxury, but most teams need all players playing their part. Kevin Nisbet is the better option, and I think he is, and I think Kevin's had, unfortunately, his own issues away from the game to contend with, which have been terrible. But I think once he moves on and progresses through that and gets himself back doing what he was doing for us at the start of the season and what he was obviously doing in the past, we have got ourselves a dynamite player there. And I think Jack Ross just needs to manage that. And I think we've all seen it in our clubs when we've got a wee bit of a star player who starts getting a wee bit of attention, and then instantly the money offers start coming in for down south. It's like, and you're like, oh, too soon, pal, too soon. Honestly, stick. And I know that, you know, to treble or quadruple your wages in one go is very tempting. But it's like, you can go even further if you just, you know, stick around for another year and become a much better player, you know.
100%. And what do you think? Where do you think they can? What's the aim for Hibs? Consolidate third place, or do you think you could go one better and even catch Celtic?
Third place is realistic. Aberdeen have hit obviously a bit of a sticky patch at the moment. They're now going through what seems to be quite a big transitional period with a lot of personnel coming and going. Dent McInnes has got to put all that right and sort all that out. The fans up in Aberdeen are not particularly happy with the way things are going. We had our own difficult patch, December and early January. We had a couple of sore results, but we've kind of, you know, got ourselves back on track, and there's a wee bit of momentum now. There's a tiny wee bit of a gap there. Would we be so bold as to try and catch Celtic? There is no reason why we wouldn't try. But
just get
a bash. Grant, get a bash. Come on.
What's your saying, son? All right.
I tell you, if we finish third this season, that would be seen as a pretty good season and a very successful season. I think every single Hibs fan would absolutely bite your hand off right now for that.
Second's got to be the aim, though. Second. Finish it. Come on.
I always like to look at myself as a realistic football fan. A romantic, yes, but realistic. So third, if I get third, I'll be delighted. Anything more is a bonus.
I say game, son. I say game. Aim for third.
So, Grant, if you get anything coming up, anything exciting coming up you'd like to share with the lads?
Bugger all.
How many radio shows you on? Is it just the one? What are you doing?
I've got Wednesday and Thursday afternoons, which is the culture, the entertainment show.
He's already told us this, Grado.
I know, but I forgot.
But my vinyl on a Friday night, Grado. I get some banging before your time, though.
He's a connoisseur. He's a connoisseur.
I'm an heavy on the 80s, but some classic 70s, all played on vinyl. And it's been brilliant. This has been my one big positive over lockdown. Has been the reaction to getting out something, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just playing records on the radio again. But it's been great.
That's probably what I should be doing on the radio. Just play the songs, man.
Oh, you were good at the traffic.
I'm good at it. I did the traffic now and again.
But you see,
M8's looking good. M74, you get a good run. M73. Remember, temporary traffic lights in Springburn Road near to the petrol station. Watch if you're in approach that area.
You've got the breakfast show route, Grado, and I doff my cap. And I take my hat off to anyone that's fucking mad enough to want to do breakfast radio.
Aye, John, are you listening to this fucking
yes,
guy?
I'm listening.
So John does Bowie's. He's a producer at Bowie's, isn't he?
Yes,
George,
yes.
An old colleague of mine from back in the day. But breakfast. George will tell you as well. It's a lifestyle thing, and I've always had two.
That's what you said, John. That's what you said to me. It's
not. And Grado, given everything that you're doing, it's like, how are you going to manage this? Because you've got to commit. You've got to commit wholeheartedly to getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, and lockdowns maybe be one thing because there's been nothing else to do. But once the gigs start coming back in and opportunities come in to do Panto and to do...
I share a dressing room with Grado. I am not doing Panto with him when he's doing a breakfast show.
No, I'm going to sort that
Sack
out.
That, but no chance.
I can't even imagine how hard it is because I get up at the crack of noon.
But I can't wait till things start happening again so you've got something to fucking talk about. You know what I mean? Exactly. I done this, I done that. The fucking I went home and that was it. That's all I done. That's what did you do yesterday? Nothing. Apart from podcasts and whatever, but apart from eating and whatever, there's nothing happening. So
hopefully not too much longer trips. Hopefully, but Grant,
there's a light at the end of the tunnel, Bob. So we'll see.
Grant, every week on Football Daft, we put our guests' Scottish football knowledge to the
Oh,
test with
Jesus.
a 90-second
Jesus
quiz.
Christ almighty. I can ask Andy Walker when I did Scott Sport. I knew fuck all about football. Oh, this is going to be humiliating.
So, no. Top of the leaderboard are John Sutton and Chick Young with 15. We've got Mark Wilson and Keith Lasley tucked in behind with 14, while the good doctor Kenny Duker and Kevin Harper, an ex-Hibee, are just behind in third place with 13. Other selected scores include Jonathan Watson on 9, Ian Murray on 7, Barry Feastender's on 4. At the bottom, it's a tie. So random throwing that in there.
Aye, mate, innit? It's the clang.
Hold on, mate. I've dropped someone who's picking up, right? At the bottom, it's a tie between Peter Lovencrans, Derek Johnson, Craig Levine, and Mixu Patalainen. Is there anybody on that very outrageously random bunch of names that I gave you want to beat?
Mixu Patalainen.
Right.
He's at the bottom. Because he's at the bottom. If I can get off the bottom, I'll be right.
But there's 90 seconds, Grant. You can't pass. You must give an answer, even if you've not got a Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Just give an answer. Okay, doke.
Okay.
Want to use what to read the questions? Or want me to do it?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
You did it too.
Right.
Righty-ho. John, we get 90 seconds on the clock.
We certainly have.
Yeah, but you can't pass, so if it just...
Aye,
it's just a matter of...
Just say
saying
whatever
anything.
you want.
Outlander season 4.
There we go.
Aye, correct.
Right, Grant, are you ready?
I am ready.
Your 90 seconds starts now. Who is currently top scorer in the Scottish Premiership?
Kevin Nisbet.
John Fleck plays for which English Premiership side?
Norwich City.
Kemar Roof joined Rangers from which Belgian side?
Antwerp.
Who is Hibs' all-time leading scorer?
I should know this. All-time leading scorer, would that be Joe Baker?
Which team did Callum Hendry move to Aberdeen from?
Callum Hendry to Aberdeen. Motherwell.
John Potter is assistant manager of which Scottish Premiership club?
The mighty Hibernian.
Who is currently fifth in the Premiership?
Livingston.
In what year did Hibs last win the League Cup?
It was 2007.
Name one of the Rangers players in self-isolation.
What was that? Those who were at a party on Saturday?
Yes.
Who was here?
Just name one of
who
them.
was there? Name one of them. It would have to be Shagger.
John McLean currently manages which championship side?
John McGlynn. Is it Wraith Rovers?
What team? What's the name of Stenhousemuir Stadium?
Time.
We've asked it, so you can answer.
The Outlander season 4 stadium.
Episodes, any episode numbers?
1 and 2.
Right, okay.
1 and 2.
Okay, well played, Grant. We'll go through your wrong answers. You got off to a bit of a stinker. Odson Edwards, top scorer in the Premiership. John Fleck plays for Sheffield United. Kemar Roof signed from Anderlecht.
I got the and bit right.
Hibs' all-time leading scorer, Gordon Smith.
I was going to say Gordon Smith.
Yeah. Callum Hendry moved to Aberdeen from St Johnstone. Then you had a few right, and then Rangers players in self-isolation. You could have had chosen from 5, but no, it was Shagger wasn't there, unfortunately.
I fucking hope he wasn't.
And Stenny's stadium is Oakle View. However, you're not bottom, you're just above it. You're on 4 points, Grant. Well done.
Grant.
Well done, man.
Am I on top of Levine?
You beat Levine, aye.
Did you beat Barry Feastenders? Is he level with Barry?
Level with Barry.
Level with Barry.
There we go, level with Barry. Ahead of Mixu Patalainen and Craig Levine. Brilliant, Grant. Mate, thanks for giving up your time and coming on. Really, really appreciate it, Grant.
It was just good to have a bit of banter. All we needed was a couple of drinks in front of us and it would have finished.
Oh, tell me about it. I know. Get that beer machine on.
The wee stories about your fair, the final, man. That was brilliant, man. I love that
class
stuff.
Plus, the next time I do batter into my beer machine, I'm going to go on Amazon or whatever and I'm going to buy a shitload of microphones. So I'm really looking forward to that.
But remember, buy a pair of mixing decks.
Brilliant, Grant. Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks,
All the
boys.
best, Grant.
Enjoyed
Thank
that.
you so much,
Good one,
mate.
nice,
Take
guys.
care,
you,
mate.
pal. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Brilliant.
One Hibs. One Hibs.
Audio Frontier.